I knew he was going. I didn't wait.
Cases stopped me from traveling all across the world making. So I just want to get it over with and, you know, accept my guilty plea. I'm ready to get over it.
Anything you want to say to your fans?
Just say a prayer for me. I just need prayer. I don't need nothing else.
Well, Charleston White was celebrating you taking the plea deal. I think he even said he hopes you die in jail and stuff like that.
Yeah, I heard.
The biggest thing right now was that you actually accepted a plea deal for your federal gun case.
Yeah.
Now, how long have you been like fighting this thing from the very, very beginning?
I've been fighting for probably 3 years now, probably.
3 years.
Boosie might be facing a brutal 10-year sentence in his federal gun case, and the internet wasted no time piling on. The loudest voice, Charleston White. The moment the news hit the blogs, Charleston went live, acting like he'd just hit the lottery. He was cracking up, saying he always knew Boosie would end up behind bars. He even bragged that he'd been saving this celebration for years. Then he took it darker, saying he wouldn't care if Boosie never stepped foot outside a prison cell again. Earlier this month, Boosie had already told fans he took a plea deal, worn down from fighting a case that haunted him like a ghost.
You were attacking Kanye because of the
Nah, it's Kanye West. It just happened. Nigga been coming at me. He been coming at me. It's just, you know, I can't respond to those people, bro. Like, that's a danger to what I got going on. Can't take no risk of losing this behind, you know.
You know, even though the case was dismissed once before, prosecutors came back swinging in 2024, re-indicting Boosie harder than ever. Now, that plea deal might cost him a whole decade of his life. While Boosie has been online posting tearful messages about trusting God and admitting he is simply tired of it all, Charleston White has been clowning, literally popping champagne like it's his birthday. Imagine that. One man praying for strength, the other celebrating his downfall in real time. Boosie's legal drama has dragged on for years, but this federal gun charge became the nail in his coffin. He was hit for being a felon in possession of a firearm, one of the toughest charges to beat. At first, fans thought the storm had cleared when the case was dismissed in 2023. It looked like Boosie was finally free to focus on music, family, and his bag. But nope, the feds came back in 2024 with the same charge, basically saying, "Nice try, but we're not done with you." That's when Boosie broke down and took the plea deal. On X, he admitted, "I thought this case was over and I was going to get on with my life. But God don't make mistakes, and I'm tired of fighting." Those weren't just words. That was a man sounding truly defeated. If you followed Boosie since Baton Rouge, you know he's been dodging bullets, literal and legal, for decades. He's survived cases, beefs, even health scares. But this one feels different. 10 years isn't a slap on the wrist. It's life-changing, and his exhaustion showed in every single line of his posts. His energy wasn't the same Boosie who used to troll, clap back, and take on the whole world online. This time, he sounded like a man finally cornered. Fans flooded his mentions with love and prayers. But Charleston White went the opposite direction. He went live with the biggest grin, saying he'd called this years ago. He made it clear he never believed Boosie would escape this one. And now that the sentence is set, he's thrilled to rub it in. He even pushed it further, saying he hopes Boosie dies in prison. A wild and nasty thing to say, even for Charleston. But let's not forget, this is the same man who built his entire career being the most outrageous troll in hip-hop. His timing made it uglier. Boosie hadn't even had a chance to process his fate before Charleston turned it into his own comedy skit online. And this beef? It isn't new. It's been bubbling since late 2022, when Kanye West lit the internet on fire with that White Lives Matter shirt. Boosie stepped up, calling Ye out for disrespecting black people. And honestly, most folks sided with Boosie on that take. But Charleston White? He jumped online blasting Boosie just for speaking on Kanye. That's when things spiraled. Charleston didn't just clap back at Boosie. Nah, he went straight for the jugular, dragging Boosie's son, Tootie Raw, and even T.I.'s son, King Harris, into the mess. He called them ugly, said they couldn't fight, and even predicted they'd end up in jail one day. That's when people realized Charleston wasn't just another troll. He was the type to get low and target kids if it meant breaking their parents down. What shocked people most was how calm Boosie stayed. Instead of exploding like everyone expected, he held it together. During an interview with Tony the Closer, Boosie explained why he wouldn't snap. Because the wrong words could land him right back in prison, especially once Charleston dragged kids into it. That told fans everything. Boosie wasn't scared. He just knew Charleston was baiting him, setting traps that could ruin him if he bit. But that calm didn't last long. By early 2023, the beef was boiling. Charleston was already trolling T.I. over his paperwork party. That's when Boosie's son, Tootie, decided to clap back. He called Charleston old, messy, and even told him to go die. But Charleston, being Charleston, cranked it up to a whole new level. He went live saying, "I hope your daddy die from that diabetes. I hope they don't send him the insulin 1 month." Who even says that? He basically wished death on Boosie just to get under his son's skin. Then it got even crazier. Just weeks later, Tootie was arrested on gun charges, and Charleston wasted no time claiming credit. He bragged about calling the cops, tipping off the Department of Public Safety, and even sending in pictures. He claimed the police were already watching Tootie because, in his words, Boosie was a 6-time convicted murderer who used kids to kill people. That was the moment this stopped being internet trolling and turned into real-life damage. And it didn't end there. Less than 3 months later, Boosie himself got arrested in San Diego right after a court hearing. Of course, Charleston popped back out on Instagram Live, grinning ear to ear. He said it was all God's plan, even comparing Boosie to Daniel in the lion's den, like prison was some twisted spiritual test. He turned Boosie's pain into his own sermon, laughing through the whole thing. Even when Boosie tried to play it cool, it was obvious Charleston was living rent-free in his head. By early 2024, the beef wasn't just rap drama anymore. It had spilled deep into internet culture. Adin Ross was supposed to have Boosie on his stream, but Boosie wasn't trying to deal with Charleston's name popping up, so he curved the invite. Next thing you know, Adin flipped the script, claiming he turned Boosie down out of loyalty to Charleston White. That lie spread like wildfire until DJ Vlad jumped in, dragging Adin for siding with a man who once praised Hitler and denied the Holocaust. That moment showed just how wide Charleston's shadow stretched. Even young streamers were tossing his name around as clout currency. And Charleston? He wasn't about to let things cool off. By March, he was back online claiming Boosie told promoters not to book him. Instead of leaving it there, he spun it into a full rant, swearing he'd already hit up the feds and was ready to get Boosie jammed up over so-called threats. Of course, Charleston couldn't resist making it nastier. He dragged Boosie's health again, clowning him just to twist the knife deeper. He went live swearing up and down that the FBI was watching Boosie because of him. Proof? None. But Charleston doesn't need proof. He just says it loud enough, and suddenly the rumor feels real. Even Boosie admitted he's been getting calls from inmates asking, "When you coming in here with us?" Imagine that. You're already carrying the weight of a federal sentence, and guys behind bars are clowning you before you even step inside. That's insult on top of injury. And Charleston knows exactly what he's doing. Another thing people whisper about, Boosie never even wanted to take his case to trial. He went straight for the plea. And honestly, can you blame him? Imagine Charleston White showing up in court, the same man who lives for chaos, turning the courtroom into a circus, pointing fingers, maybe even testifying, then running to the blogs before the judge's gavel even dropped. For Boosie, that risk just wasn't worth it. And here's the wild part. It's not far-fetched at all. Charleston has a history of cooperating, and he's never been shy about it. According to records, when Charleston was just 14, he was involved in a robbery with other teens. During the robbery, one of them, Antoine Doolittle, shot and killed a man named Michael Levy. When it came time for court, Charleston testified against him. In street culture, that's unforgivable, even if you're just a kid. To this day, people still drag him for telling on his own crew. But Charleston doesn't run from it. He leans into it, saying, "I was young. I was in court. I told the truth." To him, that's not snitching, that's survival. He's even doubled down, saying he never lived by any so-called street code and doesn't care who gets mad. Which is crazy, because this is the same man who calls rappers rats while proudly admitting he snitched himself. Recently, footage from that old juvenile case resurfaced, and the internet lit him up again. Folks called him a hypocrite, preaching about the code one day, then bragging about testifying the next. The clip went viral, and Charleston, instead of backing down, just got louder. He thrives off contradiction. So when you look at all that, Boosie's decision to skip a trial and take the plea deal makes a lot more sense. The last thing he wanted was to risk Charleston White somehow showing up and running his mouth under oath. This is the same man who brags about calling the cops, setting people up, and wearing snitch like a badge of honor. With someone like that lurking, Boosie knew better than to gamble in court. If Charleston had even the slightest chance of being tied to Boosie's case, you already know he would have flipped that courtroom into his own personal stage. Picture it. Him pointing fingers, cracking jokes at the jury, then hopping on live right after, screaming, "I helped put Boosie away." That's not even a stretch. That's exactly how Charleston moves, turning real life into a circus every chance he gets. That's why he's so loud right now. To Charleston, this isn't just another rapper caught up in legal drama. To him, this is karma. It's validation for all the trolling he's been doing for years, proof that the mockery and insults weren't just noise, but, in his mind, prophecy coming true. When you trace it back, the beef starting in 2022, the jabs at Tootie, the online rants, the arrests, the snitching talk, it almost feels like Charleston has been waiting, maybe even praying, for this exact moment. Boosie staring down a decade behind bars. And here's the kicker. Boosie ain't even locked up yet. He's still free right now. But with this plea deal hanging heavy, that 10-year stretch looks all too real. Meanwhile, Charleston White is already clowning like the game is over, dancing online like he's the one who won. The streets are split, some laughing with Charleston, others watching in silence, wondering if the hammer is really about to drop on Boosie for good. But here's what stings the most. If Charleston is this loud while Boosie is still technically walking free, just imagine the circus he'll create if sentencing day actually comes. The internet won't just break, it'll explode, with Charleston front and center, clowning like it's his championship parade. And trust me, you don't want to miss what happens next. So hit that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe, because this story is only getting messier from here.